You know, in long-term relationships, we can often find ourselves getting into arguments, getting into heated debates about some of the smallest things. And over time, we can start to notice that our relationship communication sucks. Some people put it to communication styles. Some people put it to different attachment styles. But ultimately, when it comes to communication, one thing that we all agree on is that it's crucial to be able to overcome the challenges that come in relationships. So in this video, I'm going to break down why your relationship communication sucks. And I'm going to talk about the 5 biggest communication mistakes to avoid in order to start turning your relationship communication around. And you know, I'll hold my hands up. I honestly thought for a long time that I was incredible at communication, only to find it bite me on the ass again and again. So these mistakes are very common, but they are still mistakes, and it's important to be able to catch them in order to start changing them. So the first biggest mistake is thinking that it's the other person's fault. You know, sometimes we get into a habit of thinking to ourselves, well, you know, if only they communicated better, if only my partner would speak to me in this way, then everything would be solved. But ultimately, that is not the way communication works. Communication doesn't work on the speaker's terms. Communication works on the listener's terms. If you think about it this way, let's say you're an FM radio and you're tuned into 97.7 and your partner is broadcasting at 95.5. Whose fault is that? Who is at the correct frequency? Neither, right? You need to tune yourselves in to the correct frequency in order to overcome the challenges that come across. So it's not about one person speaking in the wrong way or one person listening in the wrong way. It's about cultivating the communication between you both. This illusion of blame, this illusion of fault that we have when it comes to communication is actually one of the biggest blockers in communication. So when you're sat there thinking, well, if my partner spoke to me differently, then our communication issues would be over, you're missing the point. You're actually causing a lot more problems within the relationship because you're falling for this illusion. The next mistake that is easy to make is talking in logic. So people don't speak in logic. When we enter conversations with our partner, we don't talk in logic. And this applies to both speaking and listening. So conversations are rarely logical. They're usually wrapped in emotions. And this is really, really crucial to understand. There are 2 types of challenges within relationships. There are challenges of logic and challenges of emotion. And when arguments happen or conversations get heated, this is where a challenge of emotion starts to form. This is where we start to feel bad about having a conversation, and the point of the conversation suddenly goes out of the window. The logic goes out the window, and it suddenly becomes about feeling hurt, feeling like a victim of the other person, and feeling like we can't get our point across. That is when an emotional challenge builds up. So every logical disagreement in a relationship is usually wrapped in an emotion. And this is why it's so crucial to start changing your talking style. And this is why when an emotional discord is building up, it's really powerful to start talking in I statements, which also helps to set aside the idea of blame within the conversation as well. And just before I move on to the next point, if you do want more videos on relationships, communication, and even ADHD, then feel free to subscribe to my channel for new videos every single week. The next biggest mistake is hearing but not understanding. So as an example, let's say your partner is starting to say hurtful things to you, starting to blame you for one of the problems within the relationship. You can be hearing what they're saying, but you're not actually taking the time to understand the reasons why they're saying it. You're not getting to the root cause. So let's say your partner is saying, hey, I'm pissed off at you because you always forget to take out the trash. What you can hear is my partner is saying that 100% of the time, I never take out the trash. And that is simply logically factual, not true. This is what we hear. But when you take the time to understand, that is where it's different. By taking the time to understand your partner and actually start to dig down to the emotion behind it, then you realize your partner is not saying, I think that you forget to take the trash out 100% of the time. Your partner is saying, hey, I feel bad. I feel uncared for right now. I feel like you don't care about this situation, and I'm worried about it. That is what your partner is saying. So you can hear but not understand. And this is why it's crucial to start digging more down emotionally into what your partner is saying. One of the biggest signs that you're hearing but not taking the time to understand is if you're already formulating your response back. You're already formulating a rebuttal to what your partner is saying. That is the biggest sign that you're hearing but you're not understanding. If you're trying to jump in with a fix, that is one of these signs that you're hearing but not understanding. You know, most of the time our partners want to be understood, not to simply just be heard, but to actually have you understand where they're coming from, their feelings, their perspectives, their point of view. They are often not looking for fixes. To be able to overcome the logical and emotional discords, you need to be able to develop these understanding skills, these skills to be able to validate, to be able to break down what your partner is saying and to show them that you understand rather than simply hearing what they're saying. And this is what my Ultra Normal members and I work on together, is developing these skills, because it's crucial to be able to develop and practice these skills in real world scenarios. The next common mistake that a lot of people make is taking these challenges in the relationship personally. Taking these challenges personally breaks down all of the communication around them. So when our partner raises a conversation, whether it's, being upset or pointing out a difficulty within the relationship, oftentimes we can take it personally. Especially if you're a fellow ADHDer, we can take these challenges as personal attacks on us. It's important to see these discords, these challenges, as opportunities for us to be able to grow the relationship and provide an even better future. If you think about it this way, if you're taking feedback personally, it's going to bite you on the ass, right? You're going to show your partner that you're more bothered about your own ego than you are about actually solving the problem. And this is why it's so important to separate your ego from the discords within the relationship. And this all starts with a mindset shift of seeing the discords in the relationship as an opportunity for growth rather than something that is personal to you, a personal attack on you. If you think about it this way, if your partner is raising concerns with the way that you acted, maybe some of the things that you've said or some of the things that you've done, then they're raising this because they see the potential in change and developing this relationship even further. If your partner is not raising these things, then there's a bigger problem. They don't believe that there's potential. They don't believe that this relationship can develop and grow. So you have a choice of seeing these discords as an opportunity to grow or an opportunity to shrink away and to start to climb up. Ultimately, if you're taking them personally, you're showing that you're unable to listen, which means that your partner is less likely to not only listen to you because you're not listening to them, but also to stop bringing these challenges to you in the future, which means that over time, your partner is going to start feeling more and more isolated because they don't feel like they can actually raise issues with you. This breaks what my members and I call emotional safety and intellectual intimacy. And if you do want a deeper dive into emotional safety and intellectual intimacy, then join me on my free relationship bootcamp, where I'll break these two things down along with a secret third element, which is crucial for building a healthy, strong relationship. So if you want to join the members and I, then click on the link in the description to grab your spot. If you think about it this way, if you're taking these things personally, then you're unable to communicate without losing your temper, without being upset, without climbing up, without reacting in these ways that break the emotional safety between you and your partner, which is crucial for healthy communication. But the biggest mistake that people make in communication is being led by your own emotions. So like before, no one speaks in logic. So when you do speak in your own emotions, if you're being led by them, then you don't have control of them. Ultimately, if you think about it this way, if you enter a conversation already feeling angry, already feeling primed for an argument, unable to separate your emotions from the conversation, you're raising your voice, you're cutting off your partner, you're doing all of these toxic things that break down communication. That's why it's so important to not be led by your own emotions, but to be able to manage them within the conversation in order to be able to get to a resolution in the right way. The less you are led by your own emotions, the more you are leading the conversation and being able to take it in the right direction and being able to overcome these emotional and these logical discords. So if you do want to deeper dive into that, then I'll leave you with this video here and I'll see you over there.